Here are 10 easy dollhouse miniatures that you can make for St. Patrick's Day. And welcome to my channel, Notorious Crafts. First up, I will show you how you can make this Clover cake. I'm using some green clay from the brand Sculpey, and the color is called Emerald. I start by warming up the clay in my fingers since it's very crumbly straight out of the package, and this will help soften it up. I then flatten out the clay so I can get a really nice even layer. I'm using a teardrop-shaped clay cutter to cut out many pieces of clay. I'm going to cut out more pieces than I actually need in case some of them don't work out, and these teardrops will later become the leaves of the clover. I'm carefully removing the extra clay on the sides and being careful not to put any dents into the pieces of clay. I'm also using a clay cutter blade to carefully remove the clay pieces from my glass mat. Next, I'm stacking one of the teardrops on top of the other, and then I'm going to grab a silicone tool to smooth out the sides. This will help remove the crease that's in the middle and make it look like it's one big piece. I created a total of 4 of these so that I could create a 4-leaf clover out of them. I took the 4 pieces of clay and then put together all of the points and slowly started squishing them together. I used the clear block to help flatten out the cake and to help keep all of the pieces even, and then used my silicone tool to smooth out the creases. I placed the clover in the oven to bake, and here is how it turned out once it is hardened. Next, I'll make these miniature cupcakes from clay. I'm using this silicone mold to help make the base of the cupcakes. Filling up the silicone mold with some green clay first and then removing the excess. For the frosting that's going to go on top of the cupcake, I'm just rolling some balls of clay and then flattening it out on my glass mat. I'm using a Q-tip and rubbing alcohol to remove any hair and lint that's in the clay. I have this bag of mini clovers that are made from polymer clay, and I'm going to use them to decorate the top of the cupcake. I'm using clay adhesive from the brand Sculpey to attach the frosting to the base of the cupcake. This will help fuse the base of the cupcake and the frosting together after baking. Now I'm adding the clovers onto the very tops of the cupcake frosting. I'm going to make some more cupcakes in different colors. These ones I'm going to make with brown bottom so that they could be a chocolate base, and then the frosting on top will be green. Next, I'll make these miniature donuts. I'm using this silicone mold with donut shapes in it, and I'm going to roll some brown clay and then place it inside the mold until it fills out the entire donut shape. I'm able to remove the donut while the clay is still wet, so I'm taking it out before baking it, and that way I can make a lot of them at once. Now I'm adding some white liquid clay on top, and that's going to be the frosting. I spread it out using a toothpick, and this also helped even out the layers. I'm cutting up some pieces of polymer clay to make them smaller, and that's going to be the sprinkles on top of the donut. I added the sprinkles onto the liquid clay while it was still wet, and then I put it in the oven to bake. I only put the sprinkles on about half of them, and the other half I just left with the frosting on top. And here's how they look like after baking. Next, I'm going to make some of these treat jars. The first one is really easy. I'm grabbing a glass jar, taking the cork off, and I'm going to fill it up to the top with some of these polymer clay clovers. And then when I'm done, I just put the cork back on top. For the next items, I'm going to be using resin, and I'm going to add some of this green resin pigment. I'm using this dropper to suck up the resin from my mixing bowl and then putting it in drop by drop into each of the cups and then into the jar. This dropper is a really good tool to use for resin work. It helps keep things clean because before I would try to pour in the resin into these really small jars and cups and it would make a mess. I have links to all the supplies that I'm using down below in the description. I had some leftover resin, so I'm going to place it into this gummy bear silicone mold and I'll make some miniature gummy bear treats. Once I was done with the resin, I placed all of my items under a UV light so that it could cure and harden. I put the lid back on over the jar, and this could be like a miniature drink bottle. To make these drinks a little bit more fancy and to elevate them, I'm adding some white whipped clay. This whipped clay already came with a decorating nozzle, so I was able to create some of the texture in the whipped cream. I'm adding these small polymer clay clovers into the whipped cream just as an extra decoration. Here's how the gummy bears look after they are taken out of the mold. I am always amazed at how much detail these tiny little things have. For the next item, I'm making a clover wall decoration. So I'm using some of these 4-leaf clover charms. I'm using some of this really thin green ribbon and tying a bow through the charm. This one was really quick and easy to make and some really nice wall decor for your dollhouse. The next item is a bouquet of clovers. I'm using some gold clover beads. I have this clear glass jar that I got in this set that I'm going to use as the bouquet and some of these gold findings with a ball on the end. I'm adding some E6000 glue on the top of the wire with the ball on it, and then I'm putting the bead towards the top of it. And then I'm going to continue to make a few more of those so that I can have a nice bouquet of clovers. I'm adding some of this green ribbon that we used earlier, and I'm going to tie a bow around the jar, and this will add some more decoration to this bouquet of clovers. I'm adding a little bit of glue underneath the bow so that it doesn't come undone. Then once the glue on the bow dried, I added the clover flowers into the vase. The last item that I'm making are these greeting cards. I have these St. Patrick's Day printables that I designed available on my website as well as on Etsy, and the link for them is down below. I printed off the greeting card page and then I grabbed a pair of scissors and then I'm cutting out the cards that I want. These cards are so simple to make. All you have to do is print them, cut them out, and then fold them all along the line in the middle. These miniature cards have a lot of detail and come in many different designs. And here are all of the items that I made for St. Patrick's Day. They were all easy to make. I think the easiest things to make are the cards and the jars. Let me know what you guys think of these down below in the comments. As always, thank you so much for watching. Don't forget to like this video and subscribe to my channel, and I'll see you in the next video.